we're going to continue with Huawei Cloud services. Can you guys confirm if you can actually hear me? Any feedback?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so so we're gonna continue with the Huawei Cloud AI platforms. Yesterday, you've seen how we basically build a tool by using a pre-trained model, which we implemented into our scenario, and we could be able to use it, which means that we don't always have to basically restart everything from zero or everything from scratch. But you can actually work on a model by implementing other models that are pre-trained. So it's all about the tools that you have, okay? So that when Huawei provide the Huawei Cloud AI, right? Remember, it's not Cloud AI, it's Cloud AI, okay? So the Huawei Cloud AI is a platform that will help you in terms of creating all these AI tools by giving you access to basically pre-trained models that you can use, like we did yesterday, where we use a pre-trained CNN in our scenario to try and do an object detection model. So basically, the Huawei Cloud AI stands for Huawei Cloud Enterprise Intelligence, which is just a Huawei AI as a service, right? It's an AI as a service platform, which is basically designed for different type of businesses or for developers who want to really work by using cloud services. Okay, as you're building your model, you want to have cloud services that can give you access to different from computing power to algorithm in order for you to develop your models. So you can use the Huawei Cloud AI platform, right? Why? How does it help you? On the platform, you can have access to pre-trained models. So you have pre-trained models that can help you with image recognition, like what we did yesterday. You have pre-trained models that can help you with text analysis. Okay. You have a pre-trained model that can help you with what is that, video understanding, speech processing, all these speech recognition, reading of different documents, image classification. Okay, so basically in the Huawei Cloud EI, you have access to things like model art, right? The model art platform. But actually, how it helps you is that you, as the user of the platform, you can actually train your own model by using Huawei computing power instead of you having to buy all the servers and all the computing power. You just have to build everything on model arts. It means you are using Huawei computing power, right? So through the platform that we call model art, which we're going to talk about. So basically, model art is just a platform, a development platform, which you find under the Huawei Cloud's EI services, which will help you in terms of building, training your model, and deploying your model. It supports things like platform. It supports TensorFlow, PyTorch, and MindSpore. Remember, MindSpore is a framework for building model that was created by Huawei. You have PyTorch that was created by Facebook, and then you have TensorFlow, which was created by Google. So all these frameworks, you can access them through model art. Okay, so the Huawei Cloud EI will actually help you in this field. Okay, so you're going to be able to build system for smart cities, smart campus, smart healthcare. That means that we can create a system in healthcare industry where For example, in the labs, in all the research on medications and everything, everything is done by AI. You have AI that can be used as an assistant in the lab, uh, in the healthcare ecosystem. You have in terms of in the industrial, uh, like when the manufacturing cars or all the machines are being controlled by AI. You have it in your autonomous driving. So we have self-driving cars, and as well in smart finance. That means that we can place investments. So based on historical data, we can train the model to understand how a stock of a certain commodity is working, and then we can detect what would be the future price. Okay, so it's it's a bit it's a bit tricky. Of course, it's a bit tricky because when you talk, for example, about smart finance, it involves as well current events. So if you're looking at, for example, a certain stock, and then you can't predict uh, a sudden event, for example, the CEO being fired today, you can't predict that. But looking at historical data, how the markets has been behaving, we can be able to create an AI tool that will be able to predict the future market to a certain accuracy. Okay, so that is how you can use model art to build all these systems. So, looking at using pre-trained model, you see like what we did yesterday, that's really helped us because we didn't have to rebuild the whole CNN, rebuild a neural network that is going to learn how to detect an image and all those things. But what we did is we just use a pre-trained model. To a certain accuracy, it worked, but it fits our scenario. So now we have such models, such as the efficient net. So this efficient net model uh, is basically a model that can be evaluated to about 98% to um, uh, 98% of accuracy in terms of classifying images, which is about higher than the manual accuracy that you can, if you want to create your own model, it's very difficult to get to achieve even 96%. But when we're looking at this model here, the efficient net model, net model has already been tested for image classification, and it's performing at about 98%. So if you are using, if you're building a model, you can be, what you can do is as you building your model, you can just use this pre-trained model and introduce it into your code and use it as you want. So you have the efficient net model. But uh, through the Huawei, what you call this, the Huawei EI, you are able to actually access and introduce this pre-trained model into your code. So this efficient net model is basically how it was built. It's kind of putting together a lot of CNN models, right? So efficient model was created by Google, right? Um, it helped you with image classification. Um, and the way it works is that it puts together a lot of CNN, convolutional neural networks, that will work together in order for the system to be very accurate. Okay, so there is many versions of that, and it has been used in many scenarios there. So it helps with image classification, object detections. Okay, so you can basically use it in for medical image analysis and all those things. So when we thinking of a field such as in the medical, in the healthcare, so we can look at things such as looking at previous result of scan. Maybe having a group of people we are scanning for a certain tumor, or maybe for cancer, a certain cancer. So by having all those, we can be able to create the software that can be able to take a scan and detect what disease we dealing with. All right. So yeah, that's how we can actually use it in the healthcare. So we can actually look at, let's say, we have all the scans of uh, the images that are taken by a scanner. We take those images. If we can have maybe 1,000 images, we can train the model with those images and teach the machine and say this is a certain condition, and then the machine will be smart enough to predict for the next time that there is a new person coming, and then we have an image. We can easily give it to our software, and the software can tell us what disease we are dealing with. So now, instead of you recreating the whole image classification program, you can just use EfficientNet because that's been trained for image recognition. You just have to twist it a bit in terms of aligning it to the type of scenario that you are working with. Okay. We also have the RNNT model. So the RNNT model will be actually used in scenarios such as speech recognition. All right. So why can anybody tell us why, in the case of speech recognition, we cannot use the previous model, this one, the EfficientNet model? Can anybody tell us what's the main reason? Can anyone tell us what's the main reason why we can't use EfficientNet model for a scenario where we want to deal with maybe speech recognition, we want to deal with speech? Can anybody tell us? Anyone, guys? Anybody? Anyone?
What's the question, sir? Sorry, I'm muted, man.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm saying if we're dealing with a scenario when we have to deal with speech recognition, so why in this case we can't just use this model here, the efficient net model?
I think because that one focuses on detecting
What?
the image, searching on the image, and the speech recognition focuses on hearing things, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So the efficient net model is, remember, has been created with the CNN, and CNN is convolutional neural network. So those neural networks are specialized for images, right? Not for speech. So in the case of speech, we have the RNN-T model. Um, what does RNN stand for? What's the meaning of RNN? RNN.
Recurrent neural network.
Yes, recurrent neural network. So you remember when we spoke about neural networks, when we spoke about the recurrent neural network, what was the speciality of the recurrent neural network? In what type of scenario do we use an RNN? What is the speciality of the RNN? When do you use an RNN? In what type of scenario do you use the RNN?
I think it's video recognition.
Not always. There is something specific about RNN. It's in the name itself. So what type of scenario do you need to use RNN? It's not always videos. Guys, remember when we spoke about neural network, we mentioned CNN, convolutional neural network, specialized in image recognition. And then we spoke about a recurrent neural network. And we say the RNN is a neural network that you will use whenever you have events that are recurring. That's why it's called recurrent neural network. It means we have sequential data. So whenever we're dealing with data that do not just happen at a certain time, but they have to happen as a sequence. So that's why we use it for videos recognition, because a video is not just one image. A video is a series of images. So you have to remember what has happened 1 second ago or something like that. So there's a time effect in that. So whenever in your scenario there's a time effect, then you use RNN. So now when we're speaking about a speech means that for a certain time, a person has been speaking. So we need to understand the meaning of all the word that he has been saying in a certain time for us to have a meaning of what the person means. So when we're dealing with speech recognition, we need an RNN. So now the RNNT model, which is the recurrent neural network, and T will stand for transducer. So the recurrent neural network transducer is just a type of RNN that has been created. This model, it has been created to just focalize on speech recognition. So it's very good when it comes to streaming. So that means that real time speech data. So in real time, as the data has been spoken, so what it's going to do, it's going to take those speeches and try to convert them into text. Okay, so it's gonna convert them into text, and then it's gonna handle those data as text, right? So remember now here we're dealing with speech recognition, which means that we may have challenges such as background noise and all those things. But now when you have a model such as the RNN model, it has been trained to understand even the background noise and try and be more accurate in terms of understanding the speech. So that is a model that has proven an accuracy of about 96.8%. So there's no need for you to start from scratch creating a model that can recognize speech. Just use the RNNT model and perform whatever you want to do, whatever prediction you want to do. So basically, it's as simple as that. Okay, so uh, the advantage of that, some key features, if I can say that, some key features of this model is that you have your streaming. That means real time speech recognition. So it works in real time. You understand? Uh, so you don't really need to do a lot of work when it comes to that. So you can use it in such scenarios such as voice assistant. voice assistant. Can anybody tell us any example of a voice assistant that they know? Any AI that is using speech recognition, a voice assistant? An example
Siri.
that,
Chat.
sorry?
Siri.
Yes, you have your Siri on your iPhone. Um, Another example, you also have what's the one you have Alexa, which was created by Amazon. So you have all those assistants, voice assistants. So they have to work with. They are working with speech recognition models, such as the RNNT model. That's the software behind it. Okay. All right. And then the third one will be the BERT model. So the BERT model, BERT stands for bidirectional encoder, something bidirectional encoder representation from transformer. Yes, that's what it means. It means bidirectional uh, encoder representation from transformer. So basically, this is just a model which was also developed by Google, right? That was also developed by Google. I think that was 2018. It's not that old. So it's just a neural network that was created. This one is more focused on natural language understanding. So when you dealing with something like uh, on your, let's say you have a social media or you have a chatting app. So when you've seen it on some websites where you're trying to speak to support, you're trying maybe to speak to the customer service, but the answer that you're getting or the conversation that you're having, you're not having a conversation with a human, you're having a conversation with the AI that understand about that business, and the AI is going to be able to actually respond to your questions and assist you. So such an assistant has to use a natural language processing. So the natural language processing is just the AI direction that focus on understanding words and making a meaning. So it look at a sentence, understand the meaning of word, and give it a meaning and prepare for a response if it's a type of conversation. So now, instead of you recreating that, you can use the BERT model. So the BERT model is a model that has been proven to be accurate to about 90% in understanding words, sentences. It has a strong reading comprehension. So you can use the BERT model in your system. So it has been pre-trained in terms of recognizing all your word and sentences. Okay, so um, that's how it works. So you can it's the BERT, you can find it in things such as search engines such as Google. Google use BERT. So when you go on Google, you're trying to uh, do a Google research, you can see. So because Google has to understand what you're saying, so for it to really find information about what you're looking for. So Google, the search engine of Google, use this model. So when you see on Google, you like, I'm just researching on this, and Google is already saying, you must understand the AI behind the Google search is the BERT. This BERT model is behind the Google search. You have it in chatbots and online, all the online virtual assistant. You can use BERT model. You can also use it in terms of text classification. So basically understanding the text when you're chatting, you will find maybe even on your phone when you're trying to write something and then it's suggesting you words based on how many times you've been using those words. So it can kind of predict what you are about to say. And when you look at all that, it's controlled by the BERT model. Okay, so BERT is really used in many industries. Certain services where you submit your document, they can scan your document using an image image recognition system, and then the text are now taken through the BERT model for an understanding of those words, and easily we can use those data in any type of scenario. So that is what you can understand about using this model. And we've already done that example yesterday when we use a model for image to detect images inside another image. All right. Any question on this? Any question on this? All right. So this is how you can be able, from model art on the model platform, you can have access to all these models. Okay, so now when we thinking of building model, there's a lot of challenges in the industry, you know. So one of the challenges it comes when it comes to to deploy the model, for example. So if I can ask, what do you guys think can be, if today you want to create a new AI tool, what do you think is your personal challenge? What do you think could be your personal challenge?
I think it would be the processors.
Okay, so you think your challenge will be the computing power side. So basically, we talking about the high cost of computing power, right? If I understand that.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else?
Data quality.
The data quality, yes. So acquiring the right data, yes, that is a major problem, because if you have the wrong data, you end up creating the wrong model. Because think about it, guys. Today you want to create this AI tool for, so that at the hospital, so all the that's the doctor will do. The doctor gets the person in the scanner, and then they scan the results. You take these uh, results, they are scanned by your AI tool, and your AI can tell the doctor what condition is that. So now you may be such a good developer, you have the idea, the whole idea is a proper idea, but where do you get access to people's medical records for you to train your model? That becomes a problem. So accessing the data. So yeah, that's the bigger problem when it comes to training data. And you must also remember, to train this model, uh, you're going to need such a huge memory, because if you're dealing with a software that works with videos, how many gigs of videos you need if you need 1,000 video? You see? So that's where the problem goes, because when it comes to training AI model, it's become so expensive. It's become so expensive for training models. Why? Because you have an example of the bird. Remember, we just mentioned now the bird. This bird, to really understand with natural processing unit, to train this model bird, you need to spend about 15,000 US dollars in terms of resources just to train this. Why? Because you need a really high processing power to create that. Remember, when we talk about building an AI, you need GPUs and AI accelerator resources for training and for inference. So if you want to evaluate the cost of getting this computing power to create something like BERT, you need to spend about 15,000 US dollars. So on today's rate, 15,000 US dollars should be around what is that? Let me see that. 15,000 times 18. So we're thinking about something like 270,000 rand. You see, so for you to have this, so why would you spend 270,000 rand while you can just use a pre-trained model such as BERT? So to create something like ChatGPT, something that works like ChatGPT and smart, you need a minimum of 4.5, $4.6 million. Guys, we now, when we talk about 4.6 million, so what is 4.6 million in rand? That should be around 82 to 83 million rand, just for you to have something that works like ChatGPT. You see now how expensive AI training cost. Remember now, this is not how much you will spend on using the, no, it's just spending on training it. So getting the right processors, the right AI accelerators to build something like GPT. So those Atlas 900 and all those things, it's gonna cost you up to $4.6 million. So now when we look at that, this becomes a challenge. This becomes a challenge in deploying AI model because there is a computing power cost that is involved here. That becomes now a big problem. That's why you will see it's very difficult for every company to just compete with ChatGPT because there's a lot of money that goes there, right? So even when it comes to model deployment, deploying the models, how do you deploy the model? That becomes also a problem because when you deploy the model, you will need, in terms of fine-tuning your program. Remember when we said after deploying the model, we want to observe how the model is performing and have the data back so that we can be able to improve our model. So when we look at the model deployment now, you've already deployed this model, but now you will need the right hardware that are able to send back the data. So if your model is working on a cell phone, so you will need now to get the proper cell phone, which can be able to use also the data that the cell phone is getting from your app and send them back, and then you can process that. So you need to kind of have a real-time AI app, right, which will actually deal with that, So if you have deployed your model maybe in a self-driving car, how fast does it have to work, and what's the cost of everything that you need? If it has to have speech recognition, all those things. So when it comes to training and after deploying it, it means for inference, there's a high cost involved in that. So that's become also one of the difficulties. Okay, so we've mentioned obtaining the data, we've mentioned the cost of training this model, the cost of deploying them. We also have the, okay, this we already mentioned, to acquire the data can be very difficult because we need a certain knowledge. Sometimes also the industry knowledge, because you want to create something in the healthcare industry, you need to have a knowledge in that industry before you can create your software, or you need to have access to someone who can give you those information there. So, and then we also have AI skills shortage. Guys, it's not building an AI tool has to do with someone who also have an understanding, a general understanding of what they are trying to achieve. So they know. So if today you want to build a company and say I want to create these AI tools, you may have the biggest idea and you may think that you need $10 million while all you needed was $1,000 for your model. Why? Because you don't have an understanding of what type of computing power you need for that scenario, what type of, you understand? So imagine you don't know that there is platforms such as the model art. There is platforms, there is softwares such as Mindspo where you can have access. You have the Huawei Can. You have all these platforms that can give you access to training the model by using the cloud. Imagine if you don't know about this, you will end up, because of your lack of skill, you will end up going to buy certain computing power that are going to cost you. Why? Because you thought for you to train this model, you have to spend all that money. So it's very important, if you want to build something, it's very important to get people who have knowledge of what they are doing, and that is going to help you reduce all type of costs. So one of the difficulties in this field is also the skills shortage, because we have a lot of people who can sit there and say they can code, but they don't realize that being able to write lines of code is not the most important thing in 2025. You need to understand what you are doing, because you have AI tools that can write code. So we need someone who can write 10 lines of codes in 2 hours, while we have AI tools that can write those codes in a shorter time. So I saw today a picture that says, what does that picture say? It says, let me see what the picture said, so I can quote it accurately. It was something that was said by the CEO of NVIDIA. What's his name again? Jensen Huang. He said, if you are not using AI, you are going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. So it's basically, this comes in every area. Even if you are in the IT world, if you don't know how to use the proper AI, you are going to lose your job to someone who knows how to use AI, because you're going to take 3 months to create an app that you could have created in 3 days. Okay, so it's very, very important to have understanding of how AI work and what do you really need. You can see many times we spoke about different concepts. I always ask you guys, what type of algorithm do we need for this scenario? Very important, or else you're gonna be using an RNN for image classification. Why you should be using a CNN? You see, you need to understand, what is a CNN, what is it used for? What is the RNN? What is it used for? You understand? So you need to know which algorithm has to be used for which type of scenario. So it comes back to the first question we always ask: what problem are we solving? All right. What problem are we solving will help us know what algorithm are we using for this problem. All right, guys. Any question? Any question? Any question? All right. So now, by using all these pre-trained model, using all these services, it has been proven that it has reduced the time of building AI tools. It has reduced the cost as well. So there's no need for you to be spending millions, while you can just use these platforms and use the pre-trained model that you have there. So there have been there have been a lot of projects that have been accelerated by using the Huawei Model Arts platform, where in the healthcare system, there have been AI tools that used to take hours, but now it's with data for just a few minutes. Others were taking months. Now, in terms of drug screening, for example, now it takes just a few hours. So you have in the transportation industry, where we have 17.7% in the in manufacturing cars. So we have in different industries where there've been a very strong improvement, even in airports, in weather forecast, uh, water management, okay, industrial. So in many fields, AI has really been useful there. So by using these services, we can reduce the uh, the training costs, we can reduce the deployment cost, um, and we can build as many AI tools as possible. In whatever scenario that you have, you can build it. So remember, guys, you want to build something, use model art, find all the pre-trained model in the area based on your scenario, use it as much as you want, and create any AI tool that you can create depending on the industry where you want to uh, involve yourself in. Okay, so we have there's different levels of model art. You have the model art 1.0, 2.0, Pro, and the 3.0. So the different version came with time. So we had the first one, 2.0, 1.0, which was from 2018, and then we have up to the 3.0 2021. So with that, it can help you with collecting the data. We have the data processing, which can be done. Remember, when we learned about data processing, we said we have data filtering, data labeling. You remember those concepts? Okay, so dealing with data, we have modules that will help us deal with the data. In terms of the algorithm, we have different tools. You have, for example, your Mind Studio, which is your IDE, your developer interface. You have all your VS codes. For me personally, I like VS Code. I always code in VS Code. So you have all these platforms that you're going to use. You have your model training. Remember the hyperparameters. The hyperparameters are the settings that we set for the model, such as the numbers of of, of layers in the neural network. You have the numbers of nodes. All those hyperparameters that you can do there. Uh, with this platform, you can actually get automatic hyperparameter tuning, where you basically play with the hyperparameters to see how it's performing. Okay, so, and then in terms of model management as well, in terms of evaluating your model, is your model performing well? And then when it comes to deployment as well, you use the platform to see how you're going to deploy on the different apps and all those things. And then you can take it from there. All right. So, and then we have, this is an example of certain of the platform, how it can be used on different platforms. For example, here in this case here, it was in terms of training it with certain images for the model to be able to handle classification of uh, traffic, right? The traffic. So basically here we have an image. So we have all these images that we provide to the system so that the system, you can add the system. Now, remember guys, instead of you having to write all the codes, write the code on how you're going to take the image. Like what we did yesterday, we had a code that will take the image from a certain URL. Now, in this case, on this platform, no need for you to write the code. No need for you to waste time writing the code to have all the pictures. No, you just upload the pictures. You see, you add the pictures. You just upload the pictures, which pictures you want. Like here, you can see all these pictures have traffic lights. So it wants the model to be able to identify these images. So you write all this. Imagine, guys. you have all this, and then here you can, as you with your understanding of AI, you know exactly what you're looking for. You are placing these images, and then you're going to train. Let the model train on this. So no need for you to write many codes. That's what I'm saying. So if you do not know about this, you're gonna waste time writing code about training and this while you have platform. So basically here you can upload the first step will be to upload the data and label the data, right? And then second step will be to train the model. And then third step will be to check and publish the model. And all this without writing any code. So how will this work? You have your image classification, object detection, predictive analysis, sound classification, text classification. So in all these scenarios here, you can actually be able to use it here. So in this case, we were using the EXCML machine learning engine, which will help the beginners to easily handle common application scenarios. So we have that. So there's many tools that are found on the Huawei EI platform. So there is many things. Okay, so this is the type of IDE that you have, the development environment, where you can have access, for example, VS Code, where you can actually write all your code, select the data you want to work on, and train your model. So that is how you can use the Huawei Cloud EI for you to be able to build different models in different fields. All right, guys. I think uh, that will be all for today. Is there any question? Any question? All right, guys. Yes, I
Is
can hear
this
you.
ancient?